Hey now, what's up everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I am here to continue my reviews for the Star Trek movies. Now, I am at Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. This is a 1982 film that was directed by Nicholas Meyer, and the plot is, we see at the very beginning, Admiral Kirk. He's realizing he's getting older. That the whole group, the whole team is getting older, and he's training a successor, somebody new to come in and take over the Enterprise. And he's feeling down. It's his birthday. He's feeling old until a rival from his past, namely Khan, has returned, and he wants revenge, and he wants it in the worst way possible. And this kind of brings Kirk back out there to face him head on. Now, what I thought of The Wrath of Khan is, I went into this movie to watch it for the first time with a lot of expectations, because I've heard a lot of great things about this film, how it's one of, if not the best Star Trek movie ever, one of the best movies ever. And after watching it, I will say that fuck yeah, this movie was great. I really, really enjoyed this film for so many reasons. First things first, let's talk about Kirk. Let's talk about William Shatner as Kirk, because the first movie I talked about how I didn't hate him in that movie, but I did think he made some questionable choices, some questionable decisions, and it kind of showed that maybe he had a bigger ego than he was willing to admit, and the fact that he just, I don't know. But this movie, I was more impressed, more interested by the idea of him realizing that he's older, realizing that he can't do this forever, and realizing that he needs somebody new to take over the Enterprise. You see him training Saavik, who is played by a very young, in fact this is her very first movie, Kirstie Alley. And man, Kirstie Alley back in the day, wow. But again, I found all of that interesting. You have Leonard Nimoy as Spock, who I also talked about in the first movie, how just emotionally cut off Spock was. And I get it, that's the Vulcan way, that's how he is, but he was extra cold, extra kind of mean in that movie. This one, he definitely warmed up a lot. Sure, he still feels like Spock, but he's much more susceptible to admitting that he is friends with Kirk, that they are best friends. They've spent all of these years together doing this side by side. They have to have love for each other. They have to trust each other on a certain level. You get DeForest Kelley as Bones, Sulu, Uhura, Scotty, Chekhov. Poor Chekhov. I will get to what happens to Chekhov in this movie, but man, oh man. Let's talk about the main villain though. Khan, who is once again played by Ricardo Montalban, who played him in the original series for that one episode. I am so glad that I watched that first episode before watching these movies, because that was such a great setup. I mean, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, you didn't need to watch it, but I felt like I've already grown attached to this character, especially as a villain. There was already good setup there. So seeing him back, he's older now, he has gray hair, different look to him, but he still looks badass. I like that he's fully embraced what his purpose is. You see him and his army, super soldiers almost, and he's hell-bent on getting revenge on Kirk. I love the fact that, yeah, even though we haven't seen him for all these years, he's either been looking for Kirk all of this time, and running into Chekhov was just a step further for him to get it, or he's been doing what he's doing, and this is just the right opportunity, the right time for him to fill that space that he's had all of these years. The fact that he lost to Kirk all those years ago. So I love that. I love seeing how obsessed he is about going after Kirk. What he does to Chekhov, like I mentioned, and some other guy. He puts these parasites in them. Through their ear, there are these little, almost worm, caterpillar, whatever the fuck you want to call them, very grotesque looking things. Puts them in their ear, and he mind controls them kind of sort of through that way. They're aware of their actions, but they can't control themselves, and that was just gross. Especially when it's coming out of Chekhov's ear and the blood, and it's just very disgusting. but very messed up too. Now, we actually get battles in this movie. Yes, oh yes, we get ships shooting at each other, we get destruction, we get just really cool action. I mean, the special effects was always kind of there from the TV shows in the first movie, just as far as space and scope goes and budget. But this is like we're seeing battles. This is what I've been wanting. And especially having a villain like this that is, you can't negotiate with him, you can't reason with him, you have to take the fight to him. And that's what Kirk does here. It's almost like a chess match where, sure, Khan has the early advantage, but then when Kirk gets his confidence back and goes back at him, then Kong is playing defensive and desperate and just really going full force. Now, I have to talk about this. I mean, I know it's kind of a spoiler, but I think at this point, everybody knows about this in this movie. The death of Spock. This is a huge thing that even years ago, it's something that I have heard about in this movie, that this happens in this movie, that Spock dies here, but seeing how it plays out, seeing the buildup of it, seeing why it happens, the fact that Spock sacrifices himself. I mean, think about who he is, that he doesn't have human feelings, that he does just look at situations and takes out the facts and says, hey, this is what we should do based on facts. And for him to realize that, look, either we can all die or I can sacrifice myself, go in this chamber and do everything I have to do, and then only I will just die. That's something that was brave to see, really build Spock up as a hero and just as a character in general for me. And again, even though I knew it was coming, I knew he was going to die, watching that scene play out, watching him up against the glass with Kirk and him doing the live long and prosper, just that made me emotional. I'm not going to lie. You know, got a little teary-eyed. Just a little bit. Now, I know that he comes back in just the very next movie, and sure, that's in the back of your head, and maybe that takes away from this a little bit, but still, I can't help but feel what I felt while watching the end of this movie. I really enjoyed this film, I did. I don't almost know how any Star Trek movie from this point on can live up to this. I should probably just stop right here, but I will keep going. This movie, amazing. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen The Wrath of Khan. What do you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!